This is the Tesla Model 3, and it's currently being charged by this, the Anker SOLIX F3800, in the middle of absolute nowhere. This is the first time that I've ever reviewed a portable battery station that can charge everything inside your house and power an EV at the same time. But there is a huge elephant in the room, and it's not the fact that that's a 60-kilogram behemoth. So let's get back to the country club and take a look at this cool device. Now, it was very recently I featured the much smaller sibling of this, the Anker SOLIX C1000, which is a great little device, but it was exactly that, little. If you're a family of 4, like I am, a 1 kilowatt-hour storage just isn't enough, certainly for extended periods of time away from a power source, and especially if it's been bad weather and you've not been able to get enough sun to charge it through solar. So on the complete opposite side of the spectrum is this thing, which is perhaps probably a little bit overkill for most campers. But then again, nothing good should be done in moderation. Just getting this parcel though into the house was a mission and a half. Bloody hellfire! Oh my god! That was listed as 13 kilograms on the shipment. That is not 13 kilograms. Like I said, it weighs nearly 60 kilograms, which is the weight of a small adult. But once it was out of the box, it was much easier to move, thanks to its rather incredible design. And I mean this, the design is top notch. They've added a ton of cool grab handles and aids to help you lug it about. Firstly, you've got 4 wheels on the bottom. The front ones rotate and have little brakes on them, which helps stop it from moving when locked, but when unlocked makes it slide about super easily. I mean, I can do this and it's pretty straightforward. On the top, there's 2 great big grab handles, which are very similar to the smaller batteries that Anker SOLIX sell. But if those aren't enough, there's another handle hidden under a blue push button just here. Pressing that releases a luggage-style handle that you can use it to drag around as if you're at the airport. Although this certainly won't pass the Ryanair baggage checks, I can tell you that for free. It's still really bloody cool. But if this luggage-style handle still isn't enough, there's actually one more handle hidden away in a place you'd never think to look. Moving back to the grab handles, you'll notice that the 2 rear ones have little rubber pads. Now, that seems a little bit strange until you tilt it backwards to lay it flat on its back. This reveals a 4th handle on the underside, which folds out and allows 2 people to carry it as if they're pirates carrying a chest of heavy gold. But I think this is such a cool design, and it makes sure there's tons of ways you can move this super heavy device around easy peasy. Because let's face it, if it didn't have these handles, you'd be putting your back out. But why is it so heavy? Well, quite simply, this is one of the largest portable battery units I've ever reviewed. Not just in its size, but in its capacity. This can store just shy of 4 kilowatt hours of energy, enough to charge your phone around 350 times before it runs out of power. And if you have the inclination on doing so, you can buy expansion batteries which can connect through the port on the side for a total of near 27 kilowatt hours, meaning you could charge your phone around 2,000 times. But more impressively is what it can do with all of its stored power. Now on the front we've got a car socket just here, along with 3 100-watt USB-C ports and 2 USB ports. And on the side, there's the power inputs that allow you to charge either via 2,600-watt solar, which is insane, or you can charge it via the AC connector for a maximum of around 3,000 watt. It also has a port that's used for adding expansion batteries. Now on the other side here, there's a total of 5 3-pin sockets, which can be used to charge all sorts of things, including EVs, by placing this into the EV charging mode and looking out for the little car symbol that appears on the screen. You have to use this particular port for it, but I think this is a really handy feature. Although that said, this is only really meant as a reserve option because it will only give you around 20 miles of range on average. That is unless you have a Citroen Ami, which will very nearly charge completely and give nearly 50 miles of range off that charge. And believe it or not, I wasn't dropped on the head as a child. But I love the Citroen Ami. I'd have bought one yesterday if they'd made a right-hand drive model. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. It's got one extra port on the AC side, and that is the 16 amp commando socket, which is one of the massive selling points of this battery. The idea for this is that you can shop this battery in your motorhome or caravan, then when you get to your destination, wheel it out and plug it into your home on wheels, and it'll power everything through this one power outlet. Now, interestingly, the total AC output is 6,000 watts. That is an insane amount of power. That could literally run a heater, boil a kettle, run a water pump, and still allow you to watch television, and it'll probably still have some extra wattage spare. Considering the average household wattage is only about 1,300 watts continuous, that 6,000 watt maximum output is above and beyond any regular situation would call for. It's enough to power 4 houses. That's almost in a small village. Hey, I wonder if I could try that. But crazy tests aside, it simply means that it'll power everything in your motorhome or caravan all at once, making this a complete solution and a lot of power whilst off-grid. Now, one of the other awesome things is that very much like the C1000 I reviewed last, it features the exact same software of Wi-Fi and Bluetooth connectivity, meaning that you can control all of the types of outlet it has completely remotely and set timers and monitor the battery's input and output. I really do like this software because it provides a real utility when using this device, and being able to check everything remotely and control all the plug sockets remotely is just super handy. I showed this functionality in my C1000 review by essentially using it to bring a bit of my smart home with me whilst camping, setting up effectively what was a rudimentary smart tent. But I bet this is the first time you've ever seen a smart tent. Am I right? But as amazing as these features are, at the start of the episode I mentioned that there's a huge elephant in the room, and it's all down to what region you live in. If I buy this in America, it comes with very similar capabilities and obviously more localized ports. But it also has a home power panel port above the AC and solar charging inputs. This little port gives it perhaps one of its best features, the ability to use it as a home battery solution that takes power from the roof-mounted solar panels and stores it to supply your home when solar isn't available, or at the very least act as a backup battery for the entire house through just a single output during power cuts. The home power panel itself is an extra accessory, but it really does seamlessly integrate the F3800 into your house power grid to help create a much more off-grid solution, and essentially to make your electricity use more economical and arguably more environmentally friendly. I absolutely love this. Sure, it's not the biggest battery storage in the world on its own, but with the ability to expand it, it can easily dwarf any singular home battery that you might buy, and it has the added benefit of being a completely portable unit when you need it to be, and not just bolted to the wall like those home batteries normally are. Imagine this plugged into your home and simply unplugging it, wheeling it out to your motorhome, taking it with you for mobile use, getting it home, plugging it back in, and instantly it switches back to being your home battery. That, to me, just sounds like the perfect solution for my needs, giving the most value for money over any other battery solution you can find right now. Except there's a problem. On the UK version, you won't find the home panel power port. It's blank, as if someone forgot to put it in at the factory. Now, I'm sure there's probably a very good reason for this, which is beyond my understanding. My guess is that it's not the fault of Anker SOLIX and instead probably something to do with ridiculous red tape of EU or UK regulations. But I'm not going to lie here when I say that it's a knife to the heart that my version doesn't have this, regardless of the reason. Feels a bit like they've built a hypercar for Americans and then removed the front left wheel for anyone in the UK. But there could possibly be some light here at the end of the tunnel. It might be possible to install some kind of transfer switch in your home that allows you to plug the battery in via the 16 amp commando socket to run perhaps certain crucial circuits in your house, such as the lighting circuit, so it can effectively work as a backup generator. Of course, even if this is possible, it's purely a one-way connection, so it wouldn't be charged by any solar panels or grid connection. And just to reiterate, this situation is pure speculation. I have no idea if that's even possible, but logically, sounds like it should be. It would just act like a caravan. So if anyone with any more knowledge about voltage, amps, wattage, and how the hell transfer switches work, and if you can indeed hook up something like this via a commando socket to run certain circuits, please feel free to chime in the comments. I'd greatly appreciate it. But the real question is, does this emittance in the UK version make it a bad product? No, I don't think so, but it does make it less versatile than its US counterpart, and for me reduces the value slightly. I yearn for the best value from this, considering that it's a very expensive battery, and its RRP is £3,699, but when I checked whilst writing this review, it was on discount, which made it much more reasonable, so make sure you check out the link in the description to see its current price at the time you watch this. You never know, it might still be on sale, but although it's undeniably expensive, I would say that it does offer some good value in terms of storage capabilities and I/O connections. There's very little that sort of compares at this level, and being Anker SOLIX, it works very well and offers fantastic user experience in my opinion. But I can't help shake the slightly jaded feeling about the omission of the home power panel support. So to bring some kind of conclusion to this, I want to give it 2 different region-specific verdicts, something which I've never done before, but I feel that I need to because the British version and American version are so different. So for the American version, I think it's such an incredible product, possibly one of the most versatile devices that you can purchase for home energy storage, as a backup generator, as a portable power station, and as a home battery. And it works out as a comparatively cheap way of adding all of that functionality to your existing grid setups. I think it's almost a perfect 10 out of 10 product in America. For the British version, I still think it's a fantastic product, but is unquestionably hobbled by the lack of its home panel capabilities. In the UK, I would say that its use cases are a lot more niche than the American version. I think it would be great for a family using it perhaps as an ultimate charging hub whilst camping or staying off grid in a motorhome somewhere. I think it would probably be a perfect solution for perhaps a business that needs a significant amount of power but yet operates far away from any grid. And perhaps I think it's a wonderful product as an emergency charger for a family member who perhaps has stranded themselves by not charging their EV overnight. Or if you're a lucky sausage who owns a Citroen Ami, you could grab this, a few solar panels, and you'll have free mileage forever. But lastly, I think it could be a good peace of mind as a UPS or backup battery for when power goes out, providing that you're happy wheeling it around the house to power particular items when you need them. But I will always wish that they'd included the home panel support in the UK. So, Anker SOLIX team, if you're watching this is a great product, but next generation, us here on the tiny British Isles might like some of your coolest tech. Pretty please. But that concludes today's episode on the Anker SOLIX F3800. So if you enjoyed today's episode and found it useful, make sure you hit that thumbs up and subscribe button. And if you want to see more from the Anker SOLIX reviews, why not take a look at our review of the C1000. But other than that, guys, I'll see you back for another episode of STU'S Reviews soon.